Mahmoud Khalil made a statement from prison, which I will read to you now. Palestinian American green card holder and Columbia graduate Mahmoud Khalil described himself as a political prisoner of the Trump administration in his first public remarks since his arrest by ICE agents on March 8th. The full letter from Khalil, shared with The Guardian, is below. Letter from a Palestinian political prisoner in Louisiana, dictated over the phone from ICE detention. March 18th, 2025. My name is Mahmoud Khalil, and I am a political prisoner. I'm writing to you from a detention facility in Louisiana where I wake to cold mornings and spend long days bearing witness to the quiet injustices underway against a great many people precluded from the protections of the law. Who has the right to have rights? It is certainly not the humans crowded in the cells here. It isn't the Senegalese man I met who has been deprived of his liberty for a year, his legal situation in limbo, and his family an ocean away. It isn't the 21-year-old detainee I met who stepped foot in this country at age 9 only to be deported without so much as a hearing. Justice escapes the contours of this nation's immigration facilities. On March 8th, I was taken by DHS agents who refused to provide a warrant and accosted my wife and me as we returned from dinner. By now, the footage of that night has been made public. Before I knew what was happening, agents handcuffed me and forced me into an unmarked car. At that moment, my only concern was for Noor's safety. I had no idea if she would be taken too, since the agents had threatened to arrest her for not leaving my side. DHS would not tell me anything for hours. I did not know the cause of my arrest or if I was facing immediate deportation. At 26 Federal Plaza, I slept on the cold floor. In the early morning hours, agents transported me to another facility in Elizabeth, New Jersey. There, I slept on the ground and was refused a blanket despite my request. My arrest was a direct consequence of exercising my right to free speech, as I advocated for a free Palestine and an end to the genocide in Gaza, which resumed in full force Monday night. With January's ceasefire now broken, parents in Gaza are once again cradling two small shrouds, and families are forced to weigh starvation and displacement against bombs. It is our moral imperative to persist in the struggle for their complete freedom. I was born in a Palestinian refugee camp in Syria to a family which has been displaced from their land since the 1948 Nakba. I spent my youth in proximity to yet distant from my homeland. But being Palestinian is an experience that transcends borders. I see in my circumstances similarities to Israel's use of administrative detention, imprisonment without trial or charge, to strip Palestinians of their rights. I think of our friend Omar Khatib, who was incarcerated without charge or trial by Israel as he returned home from travel. I think of the Gaza hospital director and pediatrician Dr. Hussam Abu Safia, who was taken captive by the Israeli military on December 27th and remains in an Israeli torture camp today. For Palestinians, imprisonment without due process is commonplace. I've always believed that my duty is not only to liberate myself from the oppressor, but also to liberate my oppressors from their hatred and fear. My unjust detention is indicative of the anti-Palestinian racism that both the Biden and Trump administrations have demonstrated over the past 16 months as the U.S. has continued to supply Israel with weapons to kill Palestinians and prevent international intervention. For decades, anti-Palestinian racism has driven efforts to expand U.S. laws and practices that are used to violently repress Palestinians, Arab Americans, and other communities. That is precisely why I'm being targeted. While I await legal decisions that hold futures of my wife and child in the balance, those who enabled my targeting remain comfortably at Columbia University. President Shafiq, Armstrong, and Dean Yarhi Milo laid the groundwork for the U.S. government to target me by arbitrarily disciplining pro-Palestinian students and allowing viral doxing campaigns based on racism and disinformation to go unchecked. Columbia targeted me for my activism, creating a new authoritarian disciplinary office to bypass due process and silence students criticizing Israel. For those of you who turn around and say, Hassan, why do you fucking cover Ethan Klein drama? I need you to understand something, okay? Liberals who have also participated in the active undermining of pro-Palestine advocates at a time when we all know deplatforming is the least of most people's worries, okay? And now there are some various legal repercussions that pro-Palestinian advocates might have to worry about, especially with this idiotic fascist administration. It's not just fucking drama. It's complicity, and it should be called out, okay? That's it. It's petty, irrelevant fucking drama. When people actively put the crosshairs on those who do something that they're too fucking morally sheltered to do, which is to demonstrate courage in the face of oppression, which is basically a fraction of the harm that you could ever experience in comparison to the daily existence of Palestinians under the brutal apartheid practices of a genocidal Zionist settler colonial regime. That's the least we can do. And yet, the purpose here with content creators and those who engage in these sorts of attacks and endorse tacitly this sort of action from the administration are doing this in the exact same direction. This is the intention, ultimately. I need you to understand. The goal there is to shut everyone the fuck up. That's why I don't have any time for people to say, oh, I'm pro-Palestinian, but these people are real fucking radicals. They need to shut up. They need to get deplatformed. They're anti-Semitic. Are there anti-Semitic people out there? Absolutely. Maybe you should focus your fucking attention on them. Colombia surrendered to federal pressure by disclosing student records to Congress and yielding to the Trump administration's latest threats. My arrest, the expulsion or suspension of at least 22 Columbia students, some stripped of their Bachelor of Arts degrees just weeks before graduation, that they earned, by the way. Not only did they pay for it, but they earned it. And the expulsion of the Students Workers Union President Grant Minor on the eve of contract negotiations are clear examples. Grant Minor also is Jewish. If anything, my detention is a testament to the strength of the student movement in shifting public opinion towards Palestinian liberation. Students have long been at the forefront of change, leading the charge against the Vietnam War, standing on the front lines of the civil rights movement, and driving the struggle against apartheid in South Africa. Today, too, even if the public has yet to fully grasp it, it is students who steer us towards truth and justice. The Trump administration is targeting me as a part of a broader strategy to suppress dissent. Visa holders, green card carriers, and citizens alike will all be targeted for their political beliefs. In the weeks ahead, students, advocates, and elected officials must unite to defend their right to protest for Palestine. At stake are not just our voices, but the fundamental civil liberties of all. Knowing fully that this moment transcends my individual circumstances, I hope nonetheless to be free to witness the birth of my firstborn child. It is truly repulsive. And a lot of people are sleepwalking towards fascism. I mean, it's here already. They're sleepwalking through fascism, rather.